endured for over 27 years. Meet rock and roll legend Jethro Tull's Ian Anderson up next, only on Mike and Maty.
It started out as an offbeat blues band driven by that guy you just saw right there, a madman flautist. And much to their own surprise, their music caught on. 27 years later and 40 million albums to boot, they're still mesmerizing audiences around the world. Please welcome rock legend and the leader of the band, Jethro Tull's Ian Anderson.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Well, thanks.
How are you doing?
We're very well.
I should tell you right off the bat, when I told Mom, who was going to come on the show, I said, you know, Jethro Tull's going to be on the show. And she goes, oh, what's he like? Who's that Jethro Tull guy?
That's strange. You see, your mother would be just the right age to know us. She's probably buying our records.
Yeah. Explain the whole Jethro Tull, Ian Anderson, or have I just done that?
There's a little bit more to it than that.
Yeah.
Nothing terribly important. But no, we did start back in 1960. Well, the end of 1967, we were called many different things. We were so bad when we were a fledgling blues group. We used to have a different name every week.
You kept changing your name from concert to concert?
Well, our agent did.
Really?
Because we never got asked back to play any of the clubs again. he would think of a new name every week, which he didn't always tell us. So we would arrive at some club, you know, and probably where we'd been a couple of weeks before, and we would look down the list of names, see who was playing, and whichever one we'd never heard of before, we figured that must be us.
Yeah.
And one week we got lucky and we were asked to be a resident group at the famous Marquee Club in London, where just everybody started. And at that point, we were Jethro Tull that week, so Jethro Tull, we had to stay.
But Jethro Tull means what? It's an agriculturist from...
Yeah, he was a historical character who invented the seed drill and wrote about, you know, improved agricultural methods. Rotational farming, you know all about.
Yes, I know it well. I know it well, Ian.
From a long line of rotational farmers.
Now, where did you get your the dubbing of you as the madman flautist? I mean, you do show a lot of, you know.
It was a quiet week that week in the English pop press.
I would guess.
So, slow news day, huh?
That's right. So I think they attributed the fact that I played harmonica on one leg, because I did. I used to play the high notes, and I used to wear very tight trousers and get the high notes. So what? And I didn't do it when I played the flute. I really don't believe I did that, but they put the two things together. It's a one-legged flute player, and I became the crazed flamingo of rock, or something. As I say, it was a quiet week for adjectives.
The clip we just saw you, too, that you worked this. I mean, those classical flautists from the symphony have never seen a flute worked like that.
I don't wait around for the wrong notes to catch up with me. That's I'm out of town.
And aside from that, aren't you self-taught as well?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
In fact, one of your own staff told me when we were in here just a few minutes ago that she learned to play flute, presumably equally wrongly, back in 1972 by listening to my records and watching me play. So she too must have learned all the wrong fingering. And
so explain how the fingering is right and wrong, as the case may be.
Unfortunately, I was born with a slightly bent finger here, so I had to kind of cheat. I couldn't really reach these keys back then. So, and even now, it causes a lot of stress and strain trying to reach this. I mean, you're supposed to play it. This little finger should always be on this key, except when you play the note of D, and it unfortunately doesn't work very well.
So where do you put that little finger?
He said in warm chamomile tea over there.
Thank you, by the way, for going there. Yes.
Smirking rhythm section over there.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to meet them in a little bit.
Yeah.
Good.
But now give us a little sense of what your life is like when you're not on the road, because I know you've 40 million albums, 27 years. I understand you're a salmon farmer, or you have something to do with that. Is that true?
Well, about 16 years ago, I did, just because it interested me a great deal as a fledgling science. I think time we've used fledgling already. Do you want to say fledgling and make it
Can we use that twice in one interview?
Yes, why not? Yeah, 16 years ago, I got a salmon farm together, just a few cages of fish, and it was in the really early days. It was really exciting, because you didn't have to be a scientist or a farmer. It was no one.
So you actually went out yourself and...
Well, in some of my off time, sure, you know, in the early days. But that just started to develop and take off, and now we have about, as of last week, about 410 people working for us in factories and processing and...
No longer a hobby.
It's definitely, well, for them it's not a hobby. Those folk go to work every day. The last thing they want to think is, oh, it's just his hobby. I mean, it's their living, it's their livelihood. So it's long since ceased to be any kind of a hobby.
Is there any way to sum up what it's like standing on stage in front of 50,000 screaming fans?
Yeah, it's a sense of obligation in some ways, because you're there, they've spent, these days, I guess, maybe $25, $35 for a ticket, and you really have a profound sense of owing them something. I mean, because many of those folks have probably spent $1,000 or $2,000 on your records and concert tickets in the past.
My friends have, definitely.
You know, there's definitely a bit of fair trade takes place. You know, you think, well, to some extent you have to fulfill their expectations. I nearly would go as far as wearing a wig if I thought it would please them, you know, because those who haven't seen us play for a while, we come out on stage. What happened to his hair? Wow, it just fell off. I don't know. How did that happen? I don't know. But the obligation is there. You've got to treat those folks with respect.
Well, to those folks that have grown up with the music, and to those maybe that are just now coming around to it through the rebirth of this CD, could you go back and give us a sample of a couple of the songs that will say, hey, I remember this?
Well, they might.
Yeah.
We'll find that out in about 10 seconds.
The first of which is...
Well, this is one of the piece called Living in the Past, which was actually written as a... Our manager told us to write a single when we were in America the first time, and I never wrote singles because we weren't a singles band, but just to tease him, I wrote the most uncommercial piece of music I could think of in 5/4 time. And just as luck would have it, it kind of caught on. Yeah, it goes like this. Hey, even I remember that one.
Why don't you introduce us to the guys?
Yeah, will do. Yes, on my left is a very long-standing member. Martin joined almost right at the beginning, back in 1968, and Martin Barrow, guitar and playing bass on this number. And we have on keyboards Andrew Giddings, who's been with the band for quite a few years now, and missing, of course, is Dane Perry, who lives in California, and Jonathan Noyce, who plays the bass, and those guys were just, frankly, too expensive for your show.
That's what they tell us all the time.
What's this other piece?
Yeah, this is a piece called Thick as a Brick.
Really don't mind if you sit this one out. Our words but a whisper, you definitely say shout. I may make you feel, but I can't make you think. Your sperm's in the gutter, your love's in the singing.
Pretty.
Wow! Tell you what, stay with us. When we come back, something right off the new CD, Roots to Branches. That's when we come back. So we'll take a break. We'll be right back. You do what you want. Yeah.
Pump up the volume. Rock and roll's classic band Jethro Tull pulls out all the stops. Up next, only on Mike and Maty.